Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the C-suite's wildest dreams and sometimes nightmares. So grab your popcorn because today we're diving into Houston American Energy Corp. Its latest information statement, and let's just say there is more drama here than a season finale cliffhanger. Alright, let's get right into it. Houston American Energy Corp, or HUSA if you're feeling lazy, has dropped a whole bunch of information to its shareholders. It is not a shareholder meeting. Nope, they've done all this through written consent from the majority stockholders. Think of it like a supermajority vote behind closed doors. So, what did they vote on? First up, they approved issuing a ton of new stock. This is for a couple of different financing deals, one called the Unlock Agreement and another the Note Purchase Agreement. The key here is that they needed to get approval to issue more than 19.9% of their already outstanding shares. Normally, companies have to be super careful about this kind of thing, especially if they're reissuing stock below a certain price, which keeps their existing shareholders from getting diluted too much. But here, they've got the okay to go above and beyond that limit for these specific deals. Next, they've greenlit their 2025 equity incentive plan. What does that mean for you and me? It means they're resetting aside 750,000 shares to give out as bonuses or rewards to their employees, directors, and consultants. It's a way to keep their top talent motivated and aligned with the company as success. Basically, if the company does well, the people working there get a piece of the pie, but in the form of company stock. And finally, they're changing the way their board of directors is elected. Right now, their board is staggered, meaning only part of the board is up for election each year. They're declassifying it so all directors will be up for election every single year. The idea behind this is usually to increase accountability. If a board isn't doing a good job, shareholders can vote them all out at once. Now, let us peek at who actually owns the company. As of September 2025, it looks like Abundia Financial LLC is the big dog here, owning a massive 80.9% of the company S shares. That's a huge chunk of control. Bauer Family Holdings follows with about 9.5%. The executives and directors hold very small percentages, with Peter Longo owning just about 12,218 shares. It's clear that Abundia Financial is the main power player here. Let's switch gears and look at the money. For the year ended December 2024, Peter Longo, who moved from former CEO to CFO and director, took home $51,883. John Terwilliger, the former CEO, earned a lot more in 2024, taking in $261,225. Back in 2023, Terwilliger had a pretty good year too, earning $442,940. But notice that in 2024, Longo's compensation is mostly in stock or option awards, while Terwilliger, who was the CEO for most of the year, had a mix of salary and non-equity incentive plan compensation. When we look at the equity award adjustments, it tells a bit more of a story. In 2024, Peter Longo saw an adjustment of over $27,000 related to his equity awards. For John Terwilliger, there was no adjustment to his compensation from equity awards for 2024 and also none for 2023. This means the value of his equity awards didn't change significantly from when they were granted, or they were already vested. Interestingly, HUSA doesn't have a strict policy on when they can grant stock options. They say they don't plan to use material inside information to time these grants, which is good, but the lack of a formal policy might leave some room for, shall we say, creative timing. They did mention one grant to Peter Longo in December 2024 that was timed suspiciously close to a financial disclosure. They granted him options with a value of $15,000, and the stock price saw a modest increase shortly after the disclosure. It is not a smoking gun, but it is something to keep an eye on. Turning to the directors, the non-employee directors received a mix of cash and stock awards. For instance, Stephen Hartzell and Keith Grimes, both of whom resigned mid-year in 2025, earned around $46,837 each, with a good chunk of that coming from option awards. Robert Bailey, who joined the board in November 2024, made about $25,099. It seems like they being compensated reasonably for their board duties, with a good portion tied to the company stock performance. Now, let's circle back to those stock issuances. The Unlock agreement with Tumim Stone Capital is for up to $100 million over 2 years. The price for these shares is tied to the lowest daily volume, weighted average price in the 3 days after the company requests a purchase, but there is a floor of 10 cents per share. This kind of financing can be a double-edged sword. It gives the company access to cash, which is crucial for growth, but it can also put significant downward pressure on the stock price if they issue a lot of shares. Plus, they have to file registration statements to allow the investor to resell these shares, which HUSA has already done. Then there is the convertible note financing with 3ILP for over $5 million. This note pays 8% original issue discount and 7% interest per year, maturing in July 2026. The kicker is that it is convertible into shares of common stock at a price of $10.92 per share. This is a lot higher than the current stock price, which suggests the company expects significant growth to make this conversion valuable. It's basically a way to raise money now that can turn into equity later, if things go well. Looking at the financials, the company has been consistently losing money. In 2024, they had a net loss of $8.22 million. In 2023, that loss was $3.21 million. And in 2022, it was $0.74 million. While their total shareholder return shows some big swings, moving from $9.79 in 2024 to over $140 in 2022. At one point, the net income figures paint a picture of ongoing financial struggles. This filing is packed with detailed breakdowns of equity awards. For 2024, we see adjustments to the value of equity awards for Peter Longo, totaling over $53,000 when you look at the total compensation actually paid. John Terwilliger, on the other hand, had no such adjustments on his equity awards for compensation calculations in 2023 or 2024. Digging into the 2025 equity incentive plan itself, it outlines the nitty-gritty of how awards are granted. The committee, which is the compensation committee of the board, has a lot of power. They decide who gets what when it vests and the terms of these awards. They can grant options, stock appreciation rights, restricted stock, and restricted stock units. The plan also has a strong stance against repricing options, meaning they can just lower the exercise price on existing options without shareholder approval. That is a good safeguard for shareholders. This section even clarifies that without a vote from shareholders, the company cannot cancel options and reissue them at a lower price. This is a protection against management potentially abusing stock options to their own benefit. Now, let's talk about that board declassification. The amendment to the Certificate of Incorporation essentially means that starting with the 2025 annual meeting, all directors will be elected for a one-year term. This moves away from the staggered system. The aim is to make the board more accountable to shareholders on an annual basis. Alright, let's look at the big picture here. Houston American Energy Corp is navigating some choppy waters. They secured financing deals that give them access to cash, which is essential for a company in this sector, but they are also diluting existing shareholders and have been consistently unprofitable. The large ownership stake by Abundia Financial suggests a significant influence on company strategy. The equity incentive plans show an effort to retain talent amidst these challenges. The declassification of the board is a positive move for corporate governance, potentially increasing accountability. However, the core issue remains profitability and the impact of the new stock issuances on the share price. What is my take? HUSA is in a stabilization and growth phase, heavily reliant on securing funding and executing its strategic plans. The risk is that if these financing deals don't translate into profitable operations, the dilution from new shares could severely impact the stock value. The company's direction seems focused on leveraging these financing avenues to drive future growth, but the path ahead is clearly challenging given their recent financial performance. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.